それでは皆様、続いてのセッションのテーマは Fiat からトークンへ新たな金融フロンティアへ。I'll now introduce our panelists. We have Ashok, Venkateswaran, the Mastercard VP, Blockchain and Digital Assets. And we have Markus Infanger from Ripple SVP of RippleX. Takashi Okita, Nudge Incorporated founder, CEO. And Shun Kobayashi, the Bank of Japan head of FinTech Center. And now, please come up to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to our panel session from Fiat 2 token. I'm Takashi Okita, founder and CEO of Nudge, the challenger bank in Japan. And so I'll be moderating today's 30 minutes session with these three great guests. So before we dive in, a little bit about myself. So currently I landed my own company called Nudge, which is a challenger bank to issue the credit card in Japan. Also, I spent more than 25 years in the credit card industry. Also, previously, I was serving for the Ripple or as a CEO of the Japan joint venture named SP Ripple Asia. Also, currently, I'm serving for BOJ as a council member of the CBDC, as a chairperson of the FinTech Association of Japan. So that's the reason why I'm here to moderate with this great panel. So let's start with a brief introduction. Please include your current role and your organization initiative in tokenization. So who is first? Okay.
I can start. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you, or at least you can see me. I can barely see some of the faces. My name is Ashok Venkateswaran. I'm part of the blockchain digital assets team at Mastercard.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here in Tokyo with you all. I'm Markus Infanger, SVP of RippleX. And RippleX is basically bringing together all of Ripple's contributions to the core protocol, the XRP Ledger Layer 1 blockchain protocol.
Hi, hello. My name is Shun Kobayashi, head of FinTech Center at the Bank of Japan. Members of FinTech Center conducting our research into, for example, CBDC and FinTech issues in general. And today is a very good timing because tomorrow we will publish a new working paper about deposit tokenization. So tomorrow, please check it.
Okay, thank you very much for all. So now let's start with one of the hottest topics. CBDC. Yeah. So Kobayashi-san, could you tell us about the BOJ's approach to CBDC? And so as you mentioned that you were provided the new paper. So my understanding is about the CBDC in Japan is now that the BOJ is shifting from POC stage to pilot stage this year. So could you tell us more detail about your activity?
Okay. My understanding is today's topic is tokenization, so I particularly focus on that aspect. So let me explain why we are interested in tokenization as central banks globally, not necessarily limited to Japan. Initiatives on tokenization are expanding globally among payment and settlement systems. So one of the backgrounds here is that many initiatives have in common the aim for extension of functionality in the payment and settlement systems by applying the idea of, for example, programmability. Programmability in payment systems refers to the ability of computer programs to control and automate system behavior in the circulation of funds and securities. So one example of the programmability is atomic settlement. Atomic settlement refers to a sequential process where either all settlements are successfully executed or none of the settlements take place. So in cases such as cross-border payments, cross-border payment is one of the focus of so-called wholesale CBDC. So in cases such as cross-border payments, transactions are sometimes delayed due to rework in the middle of the paperwork. So atomic settlement is expected to reduce such redoing the paperwork. And another advantage of tokenization, many initiatives refer to interoperability. Interoperability between, for example, tokenized deposits of different banks or of different currencies, and also the ease of exchanging tokenized assets for other tokenized ones. In addition to functional advantages such as programmability and interoperability, which I have mentioned, there are also advantages for non-functional requirements. The non-functional requirement of 24 hours a day, 365 days a year operation is one advantage of adopting DLT combined with tokenization. So especially in the context of cross-border payments, again, which is related to wholesale CBDC, cross-border payments involve time differences. This feature is said to be another strength of tokenization. So I stop here.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that if you have any question to him, so how about you?
So we're very excited about Bank of J's project, primarily because you mentioned some key points, right, about programmability, about interoperability. Mastercard as a network, we are one of those companies which is very key to that, right? We're trying to see how we can make multiple networks interoperable. So is there opportunities for firms like ours to kind of collaborate with you to bring some products to market?
I mentioned in the context of wholesale CBDC, actually there is an ongoing project globally in the world. I mean, for one typical example is Project Agora, and maybe Global Layer 1. These are project combination activity among central banks and private banks and other high-tech companies. So there are several good examples to collaborate among central banks and other private companies.
I'd be keen to know if you can share a little bit what central banks, more specifically, you guys are already collaborating around CBDCs together. What kind of central banks you are collaborating together, if you can share any?
For example, for the cases of Project Agora, so-called G7 countries, such as US, UK, Canada, Italy, and other global G7 countries. That's one example.
And the use case you said is mainly about cross-border payments?
Yes, for the Agora cases, yes.
Okay, thank you. So next I'd like to have the Mastercard opinion. So from this Mastercard's perspective, how is the tokenization changing the landscape of the payment? In particular, how will a world with CBDC change the payment?
So we're really excited about the tokenization element of it. In the past, people were tokenizing small things like images and pictures for NFTs. But more recently, we're seeing more real-world assets being tokenized, things like real estate and potential future revenue streams and so forth. Now, those kind of things can be really useful and interesting for us, primarily because we are a payments technology company, and we're able to provide the infrastructure and the network rules, so to say, because we've been doing payments for so long, to allow us to make programmable conditional payments across the board for some of these real-world tokenized assets which are coming on-chain. In addition, it also democratizes the availability of some of these assets. in the past, many of these assets were very restricted to large institutional players. But we find that now that you're able to tokenize some of these larger asset types, more people from the general public, smaller businesses, can get involved in acquiring and holding these assets to, basically for payment purposes or investment purposes or diversifying their portfolios. So multiple use cases for these type of tokenized assets. Now, in ways of how it works with CBDC, for us, we see some countries which are pretty forward-thinking when it comes to retail CBDC, but we are really exploring wholesale CBDC use cases to really support our settlement. So the transactions would run on any Mastercard rail, and we will be able to settle using CBDCs on a domestic level. And as Kobayashi had mentioned, there are a number of global CBDC initiatives ongoing, which connects multiple CBDCs. So we are plugged into those as well to make it easy for settlement across multiple countries.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. So the Markus can explain the Ripple's approach to tokenization. In addition, personally, I'd like to have your project called RippleX. Yeah, so this project didn't exist 5 years back when I was involved with Ripple. Also, it's very, very new for me. Also, I think the RippleX is a very, very important project for Ripple to make an ecosystem. So please give us your view.
Yes, very glad to elaborate. I'll start with Ripple's approach to tokenization more broadly. And I would describe in a nutshell, it's really about bridging the gap between traditional finance and decentralized finance. And so we're working on that approach through two key angles. One is through our contributions alongside a global community of developers to the XRP ledger, which is one of the leading and oldest layer one public blockchains. Basically, it's been built to support financial use cases in the real world at scale, as manifested through Ripple's use of XRP and the XRP ledger around payments, whereby we're facilitating today, billions of dollars of real-world payments, with partnering with the hundreds of financial institutions. There's two subcategories in terms of contributions. One is through actual product contributions by, engineers and product people at Ripple, where we basically working together with this community to execute against an institutional-grade DeFi product roadmap. And so this year, just to give you a few examples, we've developed an automated market maker that's natively living on the protocol. We're working on a lending protocol that's also natively on the blockchain, and separately several compliance features like decentralized identifiers in order to create trust anchors or permission sort of like environments that are compatible with regulatory requirements. So that's one subcategory there. The other subcategory is really through partnerships that we're doing to bring more highly regulated, high-quality financial assets on the XRP ledger, like tokenized treasury bills, commodities, and also stable coins separately. And so there we've announced a few recently. One was Open Eden, which is one of the leading tokenization platforms based in Singapore, whereby we have partnerships for them to facilitate issuance of tokenized T-bills on the XRP ledger, and Ripple's committed $10 million from our own balance sheet in purchases, which is part of a larger fund there. We've also announced a partnership with Archax earlier this year, which is the first FCA-regulated digital asset service provider in the UK, to bring more tokenized financial assets on the XRP ledger. Obviously, Ripple has announced earlier this year we're going to launch a compliance-first regulated stablecoin in US dollar. So that's kind of like the area around like the XRP ledger. The separate, and when I was mentioning bridging the gap between TradFi, what I'd like to call out is that we have hundreds of partnerships with traditional financial institutions that we built up over the years through other products that we're operating. First and foremost, our flagship product around payments, and separately also through our custody business. And so we're having increasing engagement with larger traditional financial institutions who are keen to explore how they can tokenize certain types of financial instruments to, increase cost efficiencies or improve access of distribution. And so there are two examples are, HSBC, which is a customer of our custody product, and they're using that custody product to then offer tokenized securities, basically. Another one is Société Générale, which is also a custody customer. We're the first issuer of a euro regulated stablecoin. And so that's really kind of like, our approach at large. And I would say since day one, we've always believed, and our DNA has always been, that using blockchain technology to transform financial markets is really a very much collaborative effort with the system, as opposed to replacement, disruption effort, because the world economy and financial markets are too big of a deal to not collaborate and make this like a healthy transformation. So our major insertion points has been payments, and obviously that's how Ripple got on the world map in the first place. And so we think about that the same way for tokenization by partnering with the system together. On to RippleX quickly, just half a minute if that's okay. So basically, as I mentioned initially, RippleX is a business unit at Ripple that brings together all of Ripple's contributions to the core protocol, the XRP ledger. That's product engineering contributions with the examples I mentioned. On the other hand, that's developer growth, where we work with the community to bring more open source developers and developers on the public blockchain, the XRP ledger. There's several programs there like hackathons. We're running one at Korea Blockchain Week together with the community next week. And also there's a 1 billion XRP grants program where we distribute grants together with the community to developers. And by the way, there's going to be an XRPL community event happening the week after next here in Japan. So if you're interested, step by the Ripple booth and there's more information there. Sorry for taking quite a bit of airtime there. Let me know if there are any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as an entrepreneur, so that I'm very curious to cooperate with you. So that so that you mean that we have lots of opportunity to collaborate with Ripple, and so that Ripple is very aggressive to support to make a new innovation with us, that including the audience, right?
Yes, so we're very much like, first of all, we believe that the way innovation is empowered on blockchain, on open source blockchains, is through a wide range of developers who build alongside Ripple using this blockchain. It's been around the longest, pretty much after Bitcoin. It's been battle tested. More than 3 billion transactions have been facilitated without major security incidents since 2012. And so there's several programs, like I mentioned, that we're organizing with the community to kind of like, foster a very vibrant ecosystem and, attract developers who want to solve for traditional financial problems and friction using blockchain technology. And again, there's various programs you can actually inquire on xrpl.org. A major homepage. One of them is like events that we're organizing with the community, like hackathons, meetups. Another one is a grants program, like mentioned, where there's basically all year long, there's open doors for developers who have ideas of, like use cases around finance in particular, but also beyond that, to develop those on the blockchain. There's learning portals where, developers can learn how to get engaged and build on the blockchain. And there's also an accelerator program where projects get 360 coaching, to scale and build a business on top of a blockchain, solving for real-world financial problems. So yeah, it's an effort that we're working alongside the community. There's more than 1,000 projects building on the XRP ledger, and it's growing by the day, which is exciting.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the strong words. Yeah, so the WebEx is a Web3 conference, so that most of the participation is with teachers as me. But so that from stage that we can find some people with ties. So this session, the audience, some is coming from the traditional financial institution. So that I think that you all are the business with traditional financial institution, especially with banks. So previously, when I was a member of the depot, so that the tokenization was too exciting for traditional institutions. How does it change? So that the financial institution's attitude toward the tokenization, I believe it must be changing. So I'd like to have your opinions.
So for us, we look at tokenization a couple of things. Right? So we're actually in the process of building a new payment network called the multi-token network, where we see there's a lot of different companies like Ripple, like USDC, like Circle, coming in and offering services. Right? And they are all different companies offering similar services. So we, as a network, our goal is to kind of make them all interoperable and work together, right? But we also see a challenge from some of the traditional organizations about their comfort level to use some of these newer technologies, right? So once again, we kind of follow the bridging methodology where we feel a bank can come to Mastercard and tokenize their deposits and have a token, so that way the token which is issued has all the attributes of digital currencies, and they can move the funds using the Mastercard network from one bank to another. Then we potentially collaborate with the likes of Ripple to move the underlying settlement purposes, right? So move the true money from one bank to another or one country to another, or when CBDC becomes a reality, we could use CBDC for settlement purposes as well. Now, our network allows, it's a more of a B2B kind of solution, but our network really allows for programmability, allows for adding conditionality, providing greater transparency than what you currently have in the payments world. And the most important part is that you have clarity in when the payments are going to be received. That's something which has not happened as much as it should, but with the newer technologies, we're able to provide that. Now, what that does is that it opens up a pool of liquidity to the customers that they didn't have access to before, because they have more clarity on when those payments are going to be received. Right? So as a part of this network, we don't expect to build it on our own. We need partners like Ripple. We need partners out there which are building technology, which are building communities to work and collaborate with us to make the network and scale the network, right? Because if nobody uses it, it doesn't matter what kind of network it is, right? So as we continue to build, we continue to partner with a number of companies, Web3, Web 2.5, Web 2, to really bring them up to have the ability to make payments from front to back the way it's supposed to. 24/7 availability, different types of payments available out there. And also the key thing is, clear atomic settlement, which hasn't happened before.
So you asked a question about major difference between a few years ago and now traditional financial institutions around the topic of tokenization. There's like 2 or 3 things that really strike me because we have been having these discussions for quite a long time. I think even pre-2017, tokenization was known as like STOs, and there were discussions back then. And so the biggest first difference that strikes me is, I feel we're kind of like moving from a POC and sort of like ticking an innovation box into production. So in the conversations I've been involved in, or we've been involved in as a company with larger financial institutions, they're no longer interested in just like, hey, let's do a POC, but more like, hey, how can we actually solve for our business needs, for customer value, and they come with use cases in mind. Two of them that I recall from recent conversation, one of them is a larger asset manager in Europe who's looking to tokenize money market funds and use them as a form of collateral in existing foreign exchange and repo business in support of more efficient credit risk management, and so really unlocking cost efficiencies on their side. Another one is a larger global financial institutions looking to working with an insurer to tokenize debt, to expand its reach of these types of financial assets and therefore creating value for the company. So that's really one trend that I'm seeing. The second one is all this is really happening, or the direction of travel is moving towards public blockchains. A few years ago, I feel traditional financial institutions were more exclusively focused on private permission blockchains like R3 or Hyperledger. And now there's a clear, kind of like shift towards public blockchains like Ethereum or the XRP ledger, but using trust anchors in the middle, like certain compliance features, creating permission environments where such transactions can fulfill regulatory requirements. And the third one I would call out, I really feel the floodgates to tokenizations are starting to open. I just recall one moment this year, which I felt was a watershed moment, was basically BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, leaning into this with the launch of BIDL, tokenized money market fund, and also with the CEO really being on stage saying like, tokenization of financial assets is clearly the future. And so I think, nobody wants to be the first one, but sort of like everybody wants to be the second one. And I think more traditional financial institutions than not do start to think about, how they can harness blockchain technology for tokenization and just for, adding value to their business at large.
One of the most traditional asset categories is deposit. So let me say something about deposit tokenization. Actually, many traditional banks are increasing their interest in deposit tokenization recently, globally. First interesting aspect of deposit tokenization is affinity with two-tier monetary system. From the perspective of supplying money, which is a means of settling transactions, central banks exclusively supply central money, such as banknotes, while commercial banks supply bank deposits through credit creation. Under this two-tier structure between the central banks and the commercial banks, a framework of so-called singleness of money has also been put in place through the development of bank supervision and deposit insurance system in order to ensure that various types of money, including commercial bank deposits, are convertible to cash at par. This is a very important aspect. Such a system serves as an effective means of supplying money widely throughout society. It is also argued that the flexible creation of money by commercial traditional banks under this two-tier structure makes it easier to respond quickly to funding needs for settlements, especially in a large value B2B transactions. And the second interesting aspect of deposit tokenization is affinity with existing laws and regulations. That is the possibility of referencing existing bank regulation as an advantage of deposit tokenization. For example, from the perspective of AML CFT, system design choices that limit the owners of tokenized deposits to the bank's customers are already an important aspect of regulatory compliance. In this regard, there is a view that tokenized deposits can be designed to ensure that they are transferred only to those who have completed a KYC procedure already with at least one financial institution, while crypto assets and stable coins traded on permissionless blockchains could have the risk of being transferred to those who have not passed a KYC test. So in this sense, deposit tokenization has an advantage compared with other digital money.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we still have lots of questions each other. Yes, please.
Just want to add to what both of you were saying, right? I think the critical part about tokenization is also the fact that you can add regulations to the token itself, right? So it becomes a self-governing token, so that way it's able to drive some of these things that you're trying to control. But more importantly, what we are trying to do is also not use existing regulations and just plug it into the newer technology. We are working very closely with our partners and the regulators to say, well, what can change? What can make it more efficient so that way the regulation doesn't stunt innovation, right? And what we find is that many of the regulators, at least in this region, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, have been very, very bullish in this space of looking at it and exploring what can be done to make it more achievable, to bring things to the market.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the very, very valuable insights. So unfortunately, time has come. So shall we make the networking in this afternoon, including the audience?
Can I just say one thing I forgot?
Sure.
So Japan has been, for many, many years, a very important market for Ripple and also for XRP and the XRP Ledger. One thing I forgot to call out, we in June announced the launch of Japan and Korea Fund, which is specifically dedicated to this area to support developers and projects partnering with Ripple around the XRP Ledger. You can learn more on xrpl.org. And again, we have a meetup next week. Sorry for going over here.
Thank you very much for the great gift to the audience. Thank you. So thank you again. Thank you very much again for the wonderful panelists. Also, thank you for the audience to give the attention. So please keep enjoying the Waves X 2024. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now at this time, we'd like to take a group photograph. If you could please all get in the center. And we'll take a group photograph at this time with our main photographer. これから写真撮影を撮っていただきたいと思います。And we might have that photograph available for you. So if you could just wait on the side over there as well, we'll try to get that to you. もう一度大きな拍手をお願いいたします。それでは皆様、続いてのセッションは今しばらくお待ちください。Please wait just a few more minutes and we're going to have an amazing session coming up very soon. Thank you.